On the edge of a rugged coastline stood an old lighthouse, battered by salty winds and the crash of endless waves. Its caretaker, Elias, had lived in its shadow for over 30 years, tending to the beacon that guided ships through treacherous waters. His only company was his loyal dog, Brian, and the sound of the sea. One evening, during the tail end of a fierce storm, a mysterious woman appeared at the door. Her clothes were soaked, and her eyes were wide with fear. "Please," she whispered, "you have to help me. They're coming." Elias took her inside, offering a dry blanket and a seat by the fire. "Who's after you?" he asked, trying to gauge her distress. But she only shook her head, staring out the window toward the dark horizon. That night, Elias kept the lighthouse lantern burning brighter than ever, casting a wide circle of light over the stormy sea. But as the night deepened, strange shadows began to move on the shore. Shapes he couldn't quite make out, but they seemed unnatural, like the ocean itself was sending something ashore. The woman stayed silent, trembling as the shadows grew closer. Then, with a deep breath, she turned to Elias and said, "I should have told you sooner. I'm not from this world." Elias stared at her, unable to speak. "They come for me every few years," she continued. "From the sea. I've been running for a long time, but they always find me." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from below. The shadows had reached the lighthouse. Brian barked furiously, but Elias knew it was no ordinary intruder. Without thinking, Elias grabbed the woman's hand. "Come with me," he said. They raced up the spiraling stairs to the top of the lighthouse, where the great lantern roared with firelight. Below, the dark figures began to climb, their forms blending with the sea spray. At the top, the woman turned to Elias. "Thank you," she said softly, "for trying to help. But I think it's time I stop running." With that, she stepped toward the edge of the lighthouse platform, her face softening as the sea called to her. As the shadows closed in, she gave Elias one final look, a smile of both sadness and relief, before vanishing into the night as if swallowed by the sea itself. The next morning, the storm had passed. The sun shone down on a calm, glassy ocean, with no sign of the shadows or the mysterious woman, but Elias knew he would never forget her. And the lighthouse would never feel quite the same again. From then on, when sailors passed by the coast, they swore they could hear a woman's voice carried on the wind, whispering through the waves.